Hello everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Sam Blunston. I'm the Business Development Manager with Connections. It's so good to see you on with us today, and welcome to the ConnecTALKS, the next big travel trends with Mike Gallinari, Senior Travel and Leisure Analyst of Mintel. So thank you all for joining, and I hope your day has been going well so far. And this session forms part of our Connections virtual event program. So it's great to have you with us. I am thrilled to be welcoming Mike Gallinari, Senior Travel and Leisure Analyst of Mintel today for our interactive ConnecTALKS session. An expert on all things luxury, Mike has been working with Mintel for 5 years, analysing consumer attitudes and behaviours in the travel sector. Mike has presented his findings, insights and trend analysis to audience of luxury professionals around the globe. And Mike recently joined us in Seoul to present his findings on travel trends to South Korea. So we're really delighted to welcome him back, Mike, to help focus our attention on what we can expect to see happening within our industry globally over the next few months. We have also a few interactive elements to this session, a few breakout rooms. So for me, I'll keep it brief so we have as much time as we can to get stuck in. So it's my great pleasure that I pass the words to Mike to start the session. So Mike, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sam. It's always a pleasure to speak with Connections. Hello, everyone from Chicago. It's great for me to start my day with all of you and hope you've had a good day so far. Let me just share my screen here. So as Sam said, I'm a Senior Travel and Leisure Analyst at Mintel. We're a market research company that handles consumer attitudes and behaviors in all sorts of sectors. I do handle all of the travel reports for Mintel. And one of our syndicated reports that we release is on luxury travel. And in this report, we look not only at the attitudes and behaviors of high net worth luxury travelers, but also the general population, a representative cross-section of the American travel sector. My specialty is in the US, but we do have global analysts who have been able to provide some data that will be in this as well. So we do have a bit more of a global perspective in this presentation beyond the US reports that I tend to handle. So as we go through, I'm just going to talk about some of the trends that we've been seeing, not only in the last couple of years, but also the ones that are going to be developing even with more impact as the years go on and into from next year and into the future. The first one that we've found that is very interesting is that luxury travel among the general population has been increasing. And when we define luxury travel, we've defined it as a luxury trip or a trip that has any sort of luxury component to it. So more of a premium, like first class travel, a luxury suite, a chartered flight, any kind of luxury aspect to the trip, even if the trip itself is not wholly a luxury package. And we found that with this sort of a la carte availability of luxury that's been happening in the last few years, the general travel population has been taking advantage of it. And the instance of it among the general population is actually increasing, whereas from the onset of the pandemic into last year, we saw it sort of level off among the affluent and high net worth population within the US. So that is something that we're seeing is more interest in luxury travel and among the general population. But of course, that comes with different understandings and demands and mindsets for the luxury travel sector. Some of the more interesting changes in demographics between the existing high net worth luxury travel population and the Gen Pop is that the Gen Pop has a higher share of women among them. They're younger and they're more likely to be living in cities. So this is the sort of younger mindset, especially under 55 now, that's very much millennials. So a lot of the emerging quickly interest and participation in luxury travel is happening among the millennial age group. They're also showing strong intent. The Gen Pop is, despite inflation. This was taken earlier this year, but over half do intend to travel with a luxury experience within the next 12 months. And that is considering inflation and all of the difficulties that lie within. And as I said before, half are actually age 40 or younger of these 56% that do intend for a luxury experience on vacation, and over half make less than 100,000. So what that's been telling us is that they are trying to make this a priority and will sort of shift things around in order to get the best luxury travel experience that they can get. We do ask, of course, what makes for luxury travel, and we found that among the Gen Pop, it's very similar to the high net worth population, with looking at comfort, indulgence, exclusivity. Those are all sort of the baseline expectations in luxury travel. Although the general population does have more of a concern about privacy and sort of separation from other travelers than high net worth population does. Meanwhile, high net worth wants theirs to be more customized. This might be because of experience, because luxury travel is very customized, so that's what they've come to expect. But when if you're looking to expand your audience, to maybe pick up some of these general population travelers, highlighting privacy is going to be sort of a stronger clarion call to this group, where it may not be as resonant. It's still resonant among the high net worth, but not as high as a priority. Take a bit more global view. We do have some data from the UK, much the same as in the US as far as relaxation and exclusivity, but among vacationers intending to take a holiday in the next 3 years, they view luxury as not very trendy or having a lot of active activities or sustainable. And these are areas that we're identifying that luxury travel within the industry has room to innovate, bringing new types of experiences and active experiences, especially as we'll see later. And as I mentioned before, millennials are taking up a bigger share of the population in general. And these are some of the things that they are looking for across the board. So when we're looking at ways that, again, luxury travel can innovate, trendiness and activity and sustainability are things that are on the rise. I alluded earlier to mandates to a luxury vacation. Again, this is in the US. As far as activities go, it's pretty similar, although the Gen Pop does show more interest in spa experiences, while high net worth is more about access. One of the conclusions that we had come to is when we are talking about general population getting into luxury, they are looking for sort of upgrades to their everyday life. So if you look at fine dining and shopping and spa experiences, these are all things that they can do where they live, in their neighborhood, in their city, but they want sort of augmented versions of that. Whereas the high net worth group, they want the exclusivity and the access that luxury can bring. So that's sort of a minor nuance difference when approaching these two populations. So while inflation is still a major concern in the US and globally as well, consumers are looking to make cuts. However, we're finding at 75,000 income, general population has really no plan to cut their vacation budgets or the amount of vacations that they're planning on taking. So it really underscores how important travel is to Americans, even in sort of uncertain economic times. And we found that this mindset among the 75,000 and above is shared with higher income. So we're getting a picture now of who is the most determined and most likely to go on a vacation, even despite inflation and as we go into maybe recession, we're not sure, who is sort of going to be the holdouts in really being determined in trying to go out. To speak on some more sort of directional trends that we're finding in the industry, since the pandemic, of course, people are looking to improve their well-being. And one of the ways through this is on a huge demand on wellness, travel, wellness offerings, and relaxation. And in many ways, the luxury travel industry is responding. For instance, here, Claridge's in London actually excavated a whole space 3-4 floors down underneath their property to bring an entire wellness facility to their guests, including spiritual classes and saunas and swimming pools. So it sort of really shows how wellness is in demand, and away from strictly wellness resorts or getaways, and how luxury consumers are looking to incorporate wellness into their travels for such a sort of a dramatic change in the property. And like I said, relaxation is the #1 motivation for taking a luxury trip. Excuse me. This is among the Gen Pop. So it's really top to bottom in the population how stressful the world has been and continues to be, considering inflation and global conflict, that being able to relax on vacation is seen as a necessity. And this goes, of course, beyond wellness. It's also a matter of seamlessness and really the attentiveness that luxury travel providers and advisors bring. That's very important going forward. So before we get into some of the other trends, I believe that we have a breakout session. So I'm going to kick it over to Sam with our breakout question.
Great, thanks, Mike. Thanks for those first few insights. Really interesting, and it's definitely some food for thought already. So as Mike said, this is now a time where we actually want to hear from you, our luxury travel professionals. So as Mike mentioned, we are seeing relaxation and slow travel as a clear trend and top motivation for luxury travelers. So we wanted to spend the next 5 minutes or so together in small breakout rooms of groups of 5 or so, to discuss this topic in a little bit more detail, to dive in a bit more detail before we actually return to the session. And we'd actually then like to pick on a few of you to share some of your thoughts and insights with us. So I may be picking on a few, so be ready for that. Hannah is kindly organising some breakout sessions behind the scenes, and Amanda is going to be putting the question in the chat. But the question we wanted you all to discuss first is, as we are seeing relaxation and slow travel as a clear trend, do you see any opportunity in this space for your business, and how are you gearing your product towards this? So as I mentioned, we'll have 5 minutes as groups to discuss this question. And then we'll return to this meeting area where I'll pick on a few groups to share what you've discussed. So if we are all ready, looking forward to hearing the discussions.
I have 2 ways to look at it as a DMC. On one side, if relaxation means to be enjoying the moment and not doing activities, it's not so good. And experiences, tailor-made experiences, it's not so good. But if we look to the other side, and most of the times in Portugal, and relaxation means being closer to nature, so remote locations, a bit unknown. It's a way to explore the area, and also an opportunity for the DMC, I mean, to provide new experiences among nature, bringing yoga classes to places where these do not exist. So it's something, it's an opportunity, I would say. So I need to look at it in different ways, two different ways.
Yeah, it's finding that balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
From where you want to move as a DMC, and also bringing that trend and within the product as well. Have you worked with many hotels or experience providers to cater with that movement?
Yes, I mean, it's a trend. It's a worldwide trend. I see more and more new hotels opening in remote locations, and also smaller boutique hotels, not far away from the big cities. They are also investing on that relaxing atmosphere. I see that on their services, on the way they decorate their properties. So I'm looking, and also chefs that have their own farm, organic farm. So it's also a way to immerse in this concept. More and more I see this as a trend, and the most successful properties are investing quite a lot on these trends.
Yeah, definitely. Mike, have you got any thoughts on that? Whilst you're here, our main man.
I think keep that idea of properties having their own farms on site in mind. You might see that a little bit later in a few minutes as we talk about some of the other trends. But yeah, and a lot of these are going to sort of blend together. And I think you're right. We are seeing a lot of, especially in the sort of boutique space, a lot of response to these trends kind of all at once. And, I think it's a matter of getting the word out and educating.
I think particularly from even the COVID, the pandemic, before that, I imagine it was there, but that just accelerated it. And business had to quickly adapt, particularly being a DMC. You've got so many working parts. Sometimes with a hotel, they have the facility or they don't. But with you, you have. I bet it's nice for a bit of creativity as well. How can you bring that new business offering in?
I just wonder, because this year I think it has been a little bit too hectic for the world, for our industry, because I do see cities which are packed. They're coming back to the old times, pre-pandemic times. But I also see that more and more people just want to save some time for themselves. It's not just a day-to-day activities, tailor-made or not tailor-made, but they just want to make sure they will have one day to relax, to be on their own, to immerse, to have some quietness they will need. Enjoying it in their own way, in their own private way.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I'm going to pick on you, Carla, to be as our key spokesperson.
Oh no! I hate to speak in public. Don't do that to me. I did not sleep today.
Lara, do you want to pick on someone from your group who had some interesting insight?
Sure. Well, actually, we have two very interesting insights in our group, because we have a group of hotels in Portugal, which are the Bonport hotels, and we have 360 degrees Mongolia, which is a complete different side of the world and side of doing business. So it's very hard to decide who can talk about. I think that, can we give them 30 seconds each?
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Okay, go Matilda.
Timer.
Okay, then elevator pitch. So for us, the relaxation actually, that's a big part of our journey, especially in one of our hotels, which is the Vintage, because our concept there is to relax, inspire, play. So I'm going to focus on the relax part, of course. So what do? We have the colors of the rooms, for example, that are blue. So blue is a well-known color to enhance the relaxation part. And then we have the experimental parts. So for example, we offer complimentary mini bar, of course, but also the complimentary gin and tonic kit.
That's
so
30 seconds.
Okay, then you have to come to try the gin and tonic.
So yeah, let's Elevator pitch, 30 seconds for you.
It's very hard for me.
Time starts now.
Go ahead,
Thank you.
Dan.
Thank you. I'm in a very remote country, Mongolia. So I have already noticed 10 years ago that people wanted to travel less. So if you travel less, you see more. So it pays off a lot on feedback forms to pace down travel, even though it's a big country. But no one will actually choose Mongolia just to relax. So it is an adventure destination, but despite that, they do not need to see every corner of the country. I don't think so.
That's
And at special occasions we do. Yeah, that's time. Okay, thanks.
No, that was great. Thank you so much. It's good to see the comparisons as well. Anyway, Ross, I see one.
Okay. Okay, so I represent Domus Resorts. We're a luxury hotel portfolio across the Mediterranean in Greece and Portugal. So our hotels are set up for relaxation. We have spas in all of the hotels, and it's very much about our signature experiences and giving people the opportunity to relax and have a nice time on holiday. But one of the things that we talked about in our group was people wanting post-pandemic to pre-book things. So there's not so people aren't just turning up anymore and going, okay, there's a spa. They want to know what the spa offers them beforehand. So in all our website, we have spa menus and all that information that people can find out. There you go, on the nose.
Hang on time. Look at that. Perfect. Thank you so much. So no, really interesting. And we will have another breakout session in a bit. So I'll pass back to Mike, who will be sharing the second section of our insightful presentation. Mike, over to you.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you, everyone. You had very interesting insights, and it's always nice to get a little break when you're the speaker. So going on to some of the other trends that we're seeing is, as a result of the pandemic, we've seen just across the board a refocus on family travel and figuring out what's really important and those connections. This has turned over into the luxury sector as well. And again, we've seen some providers respond. In this case, the Mandarin Oriental in Shanghai has a distraction-free room package that includes supervision for children so that they can continue on with their studies and academic requirements remotely while still on a luxury trip. This is something that we're seeing in the US, people wanting to get to as sort of people got to handle remote learning. But I think more broadly, it really points out how luxury travel needs to have aspects that are kid-friendly or family-friendly, I should say, because people are traveling with single-digit kids in age or on up to teenagers. So this is a consideration that providers really need to have. Going off on family travel, we find that experience is a really big part of family travel. So these are ways that luxury travel industry can accommodate these, is by providing these sort of family-friendly experiences. From Canada, we did find out that over half of parents are looking to take a trip of a lifetime. So they're looking to go all out, and this includes luxury experiences on travel. And this is compared to just 41% of non-parents. So it's really sort of this idea of coming together and all having this wonderful shared travel experience together. And that's something that, of course, luxury travel is definitely able to provide. I've said it a couple of times about experiences, so it shouldn't be a surprise that this is one of our trends as well. And much earlier back in the presentation, I mentioned how big a share millennials are among just travelers and luxury interested in general. They have that trademark desire for, or I should say I'm one too, trademark desire for experiences. So there's really sort of been a contest to see, how how great and how unique and how out there these experiences can be. And the example I brought up here is White Desert having their an Antarctic glamping experience called Echo Base, if anyone's a Star Wars fan like me. So these are basically big, clear domes that you can stay in and have not only Arctic experiences, but many have likened it to sort of a space experience with the sort of desolation and isolation that they have in a controlled environment that has really resonated with a lot of people who have been on this or anticipating to go on this, I should say. And then in a nod to sustainability, these pods that they stay in are designed to break down and leave no trace when the stay is over. As we look more globally, we do find that this idea of experiences being more important than material possessions is sort of a default position, but it is especially prevalent in Canada, the US, and Germany. On the flip side, there are some people who do find that the material possessions are a little bit more important when it comes to just life in general, really. South Korea is the sort of the most emphatic about this mindset, and a lot of East Asia as well. So it can give you an idea as you're addressing sort of global clients, which side they might be more interested in, these sort of more experiential side, or highlighting things like luxury shopping in a global city. Excuse me. And then our final trend is, of course, conscientious travel, and this is sustainability, both environmental sustainability as well as sort of an ethical eye toward the locals. So we're talking about over tourism, fair wages, and fair labor practices for them. But as consumers are becoming more acutely aware of the climate crisis, they're looking to sort of conserve in any way they can, and that includes in travel. We're already seeing a lot of response within the luxury sector. Silent Resorts, this is their Bahamian property that they're planning, which is a zero carbon resort that also features solar powered yachts and catamarans and a host of other sort of sustainable features. Elsewhere, we've seen a lot of sort of farm to table dining options within hotels where the farm is right on the property. There's one in Oman, and the name escapes me, but they have even a desalination plant so that they can source their water directly from the sea and not put a stress on the water table or the water supply of the local area. Within the US, we've found that people are actually willing to pay more for sustainable options, and this is more prevalent among those that are interested in international travel. So the people who have a little bit more means to spend on their travels are much more likely to say that they want to sort of shell out a little bit more money for more sustainable travel. And this is about 50% say that they're willing to spend up to 25% more of their budget. If that, you can look at this, but if that doesn't make sense, but basically it's a significant amount are willing to pay a significant upcharge for a more sustainable travel option. And then this way, travel providers need to also serve as educators, because the other thing that we did see is that while there is a great desire to be more sustainable, not everyone knows how to do that within travel. They don't know what sustainable travel is or necessarily what their impact is. So there is plenty of opportunities for brands to be the educator and to help them on their journey. And that's especially important because so many consumers around the world are holding companies to task to be more sustainable. briefly here are two examples of how much more citizens of certain countries look to private companies more than to governments to be more sustainable, to, in this instance, reduce emissions from aircraft and ensure fair worker conditions. All of these are sort of wrapped into this idea of sustainable travel. So even though in many cases it's easier and more effective for governments to handle these, consumers definitely expect companies to play a role, and we've seen this increase as time has gone on. I believe, yep. So we have one more breakout session to do, so I can kick that over to Sam.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Thank you again. Really, really interesting, thought-provoking slides there, actually. So this gives us a great opportunity to dive deeper into those last few slides on sustainability. So we're going to follow the same format as we did previously, where we'll have 5 minutes to do discussions in your breakout rooms. But for this section, the question we'd like you all to discuss is, as consumers are becoming more aware of the climate crisis, how can we as luxury travel professionals shape consumers' mindsets towards more sustainable choices when traveling? Please join your breakout rooms and discuss that question now. Thank you. Welcome all. I hope that was some interesting discussions. I'm excited to hear how they went.
Very much.
I'm going to pick on my team to pick on a few of you again. So Beatrice, you in a group, could you, was there some interesting discussions? Can you pick on one of your team to give us a little?
So I'll let Roxana talk a bit about what we were discussing and how important it is for hotels to have a behavior towards the sustainability and not just, as mentioned, printing a card with the policies, but then not following what has been printed out. Roxana, over to you.
Okay, sorry, I had to find my unmute button. So Matilda and I were in our breakout session with Beatrice looking over our shoulder, and we came to the conclusion from an advisor standpoint, which is my perspective, that it is important to get clients who are already thinking sustainability to focus on particulars. And the point that I raised was to choose hotels that follow through on sustainable policy. So if a hotel has a placard in a room that says, if you desire to reuse your towels to help us save our environment, please rehang your towels, which a lot of us as consumers do. We rehang our towels, and then housekeeping comes in and changes our towels. And it's very frustrating when, as an advisor, I choose a hotel that I feel is sustainable, recommend it to a client so that they can do their part as a consumer for our environment, and then the hotel doesn't follow through. So that was the point that we sort of turned around.
Thank you, Roxana. Really interesting. I know it definitely is an issue that it needs looking into as well. Laura, who from your group? Oh, have I got Sasha?
Yeah, exactly. That was the idea.
Sasha, over to you.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. We had a great discussion from the Arctic regions to Mongolia and in between. And a few things that really stuck. Sarah from Cork in the chat noted starting the conversation at the beginning of the sales process of the specifics of how you actually deliver. To say that you're environmentally friendly is one thing, but actually defining the innovative ways that the ship is taking into account these important factors. And then with the team from Mongolia, also talking about the complexity of, it's not just saying like we're working with local people and that's all good, because it's not always, there's a lot of complexity in decisions that local people are making. And sometimes it is or is not as environmentally friendly as people may think, but that there's a lot of richness in that discussion and actually getting into the detail. And I think the power of travel can have in that equation.
Really interesting. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. But thank you so much. And thanks everyone for those discussions as well. I know it's been really insightful in your groups. So I'm going to pass back over to Mike, who's just going to give us some key takeaways from the session, and then we'll open it up to a few Q&As. I've had a few questions come through. So Mike, over to you.
Great, thank you. So yes, just some key takeaways here is that the demographic that is interested in luxury is growing, and even if it's in a limited fashion, they are trying to find ways to incorporate it into their travels because of how important the travel is to them. Relaxation and wellness are important. They're getting to be pretty much table stakes in luxury travel, of course, but really travel in general. And we have to really figure out what we are doing to maximize relaxation while satisfying the experience aspect. Another key takeaway, because this is as millennials become more and more apparent in luxury travel and travel as well. Experience is coming to the forefront, and they're bringing that to the families that they're now having. And then, of course, luxury providers, if they haven't already, need to start pivoting towards sustainability because competitors already are, and outside forces are sort of forcing hand as well. So it's on luxury, the industry, to sort of be leaders in not only sustainability, but educating as to what it is and how to be more sustainable. We'll kick it over to questions, but if anyone wants to get in touch with me, you'll find my contact information there. We actually have a new fresh report on luxury travel coming out in February of next year. So we'll be I'm looking forward to seeing what new topics come up and what new data and what changes are coming for the industry. So again, if you have any questions or just want to chat, my information is there. You can also find me on LinkedIn.
Great, thanks so much, Mike. And we've got time for questions as well. So we had a question from Yang come through, and he says, US inflation is of course up, as is in the world at large. However, for non-US dollar zone countries, travel to US dollar currency zones, the US, Caribbean, Ecuador, Mongolia, etc., due to US dollars and other currency inflation will be 15 to 20% pricier on top of inflation. Will this matter for luxury travelers?
I think it will matter for some luxury travelers. I think that for those who they've always wanted to go certain places like the Eurozone or the UK, that having a stronger dollar will be more appealing when they go over there. And, I think that for places that are pegged to the dollar, like the Caribbean, they might deprioritize those because it's a lot closer to the US geographically, and there'll be a lot more opportunity to go. So I think it will factor into the calculus as far as where those countries lie in their personal kind of travel bucket list goals.
Right.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. We've got another question came through. Given that there are slight changes in the demographic of the new luxury traveler, Mike, do you think the traditional brands such as Four Seasons will appeal to the new generation, or do you think that the new generation are looking for different brands? And if so, what? i.e., eco resorts, boutique properties? What can suppliers do to appeal to the new generation?
Yeah, I think that, and we see this when we look at travel loyalty in general, is that it's been difficult to get younger people involved with loyalty and thus those more legacy brands. That legacy branding means less. And part of that is because, especially for millennials that had to go through the Great Recession, those who have been traveling are used to sort of kind of pulling together different, more affordable travel from different online sources. So brand meant less to them. And I think that these more legacy brands might have name recognition, but what they offer is not as sort of resonant. And I think that they will be going for more of the features, so more experience first and more kind of family and sustainability first, than just sort of banking on the name. At Four Seasons specifically, I was actually surprised, or not, sorry, not the Four Seasons, the Fairmont I saw when their property in Seoul has a much more modern feel to it than other Fairmonts have. I actually got lost on the way there because I was expecting a more sort of neoclassical building, and when I saw a very modern one, I was like, oh, no wonder I got lost. I was looking for it on the skyline. So I think that there are sort of movements toward modernizing, but I think it definitely takes more than architecture to address that.
Okay, great. Well, I think that's been really insightful session. So if there's no more questions, I just want to say a big thank you again to Mike. It's been a pleasure having you with us and sharing your valuable insights today. So on behalf of us, I know it's been really thought-provoking, and we've had some really interesting and discussions there. So yeah, big thank you. A reminder to everyone as well, this session has been recorded, so we will share this recording in the next few days, along with all of Mike's details as well. So if you do want to reach out with any questions privately, if you want to chat with Mike, he'll be more than happy to speak with you as well. And also a big thank you to all of you for your participation today and sharing those discussions and joining us. Big thank you from us, and look forward to seeing you again soon, and bye-bye.